So, hello and welcome to episode 42 of the Inventive Marketing Club. We are here every Friday morning so we can build a better marketing strategy together. Joining us today are Claire. Claire runs the club behind the scenes, basically manages everything. Claire, have you been up to anything interesting this week?
What have I been up to? I feel like I've been all over the place. I've been documenting different projects and just kind of all sorts, Ben. I can't quite, it's been a blur.
You've been doing lots of customer case studies, haven't you?
Case studies, talking to people, documenting the projects, trying to get it on the website, just trying to get it out on social media. It's like endless.
And we're also joined by Jonathan Pollinger, good friend of mine who I've known for many years. Met you in Cheltenham, Jonathan, at what was the event that you ran in the evening?
Laptop Friday.
No, not Laptop Friday. Before that.
Oh, right. Okay.
The social event.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. We Are Social Club.
Well, it's brilliant. I love that. It's a shame you had to stop that. But Jonathan is a mind on anything to do with social media. So I've invited him to come and talk to us about TikTok, which I know about and I've used a little bit, but really I'm in your hands, Jonathan. So before we start, maybe just give people a little bit of background on you and your company.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jonathan, been a freelance social media trainer for 12 and a half years now. So quite a long time, and got a wide range of clients from small businesses, people just starting out, through to PR agencies, a brand from time to time, an MP one time. And I just picked up, can't say she's high profile, but got like about 20 million downloads on Spotify, a music artist as well. So yeah, got a nice variety of clients, and I guess sort of concentrate on the main platforms, but my thing really is sort of keeping an eye on trends, new features, what is happening, and that's kind of part of the reason talking about TikTok today, as I will explain, because as we know with social media, it's an ever-changing landscape, and that's kind of like what I find fascinating about it, both sort of within the platforms themselves, but also the bigger picture. So yeah, pretty much anything and everything to do with social media, I can usually help with. And just quick mention of on the side, I've just partnered with somebody, not really on the side, that's sort of dumbing it down a bit, but as a second business, I've just set up a B2B social media services agency. So we're doing social media management, social media ads management, and strategy for that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was something you didn't do. You were very happy to talk to people about it, give them stats, insight, and training, but not the actual doing bit. And I'd imagine you probably had people coming to you saying, but I need your help, Jonathan. I need you to do this for me.
Well, yeah, after years of people sort of like saying that, you could argue that I finally cracked, but I think there's sort of other reasons as well. I think post-pandemic, particularly on the B2B side, people have seen that social media can work for them in the same way that it can work for more consumer-focused businesses. And I'm sure you agree, Ben, I think in terms of scope, there's a lot of scope there as well, because even those people that are doing it aren't actually doing it very well in the B2B sphere. There's not many sort of good examples out there. So hopefully we can help B2B businesses with that.
Brilliant. Well, we better crack on. Our time is ticking. So you're gonna take us through some slides on TikTok, and I think you've got some examples to show us. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Let me put us in focus mode, and over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to talk to you about TikTok today, and I'm just going to get straight into it. So in terms of what you actually need to get going, your toolkit, if you like, you will need the following. So you do need a sort of bang up to date phone. TikTok is very mobile based, so the newer your phone, the better, really. So as in decent camera is going to be really important. TikTok, pretty much 98% around video. However, you can actually use photos on TikTok. Most people don't even realize that, but you can take a photo and do all the things with it that you can do with video. But it is primarily a video platform, and all the editing and everything that you need to do is within the app. So mobile, absolutely essential. I think what you definitely do need with TikTok is got to be creative, got to have ideas. got to sort of find your niche really and show off your personality. It's definitely not a sort of point further down there. It's definitely not sort of a network with polish. That's both sort of on the personal and the business side. Yeah, you need to get the basics right in terms of lighting and things like that, and sound if you're speaking. But actually, raw is good. Getting across your personality is important. So it's not slick as such. There aren't high production values, and I'd actually sort of argue that compared with Reels, some of you might actually be more familiar with Instagram Reels and Facebook, as you might have seen, launched Reels last week. Compared with Reels, I think Reels are actually they are more polished. They have got more sort of like high production. That does seem to be the etiquette, if you like, or the culture over on Reels. But TikTok, perhaps because it was the first mover, the first one, bit more rough and ready, should we say, a bit more raw. Do need time. So, like all social networks, you're probably not what you want to hear. Yet another social network you might have to look at. We'll talk about whether you need it or not in a bit. But yes, you do need time. And so you've got to kind of like put that time in to do your planning, to come up with your ideas, and of course to shoot the videos and to actually use the platform as well. And we'll come on to how you can do that in a bit. So in terms of video editing, though, the good news is, you haven't got to be a video editing expert. I think you've got to have the capacity to learn something new. But the technology, which is part of the reason why we've seen the massive growth of TikTok, it's just absolutely incredible. Even probably 3 years ago, which is about the time TikTok got underway, it would have been unthinkable to think of having all the editing tools that TikTok has got built into a mobile phone app. It's really quite extraordinary. So, it really was sort of high-end, very expensive tools to do some of the effects that you can now simply do for free with your smartphone using the TikTok app. So there is quite a bit to learn there if you're going to take advantage of all the editing features, but you don't really have to have any prior knowledge about that, because again, they've made the interface quite intuitive and the whole thing quite easy to use. So that sort of helps you get into it in terms of both as a consumer of content and also as a curator of content. I think it's important to understand your niche. One could argue that this applies to all social networks, but I think it's particularly true with TikTok. There is a lot, as probably many of you are familiar with, there is a lot of sort of like fun, entertaining, quirky, very lightweight content, should we say. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to be standing out in terms of business, you need to be very clear about what it is that you're doing. And just to give you an example of that, if you're using certain hashtags to be discovered, for example, you need to be very sort of specific. So you almost like need to have a niche within a niche. So have a think about that. Like I said before, no high production really needed, but in terms of the basic essentials, good sound, so good microphone, good lighting. And also one thing that sometimes with business doesn't matter so much on the personal, but background is important, because with a video, you are sort of like seeing everything. So do make sure, say, again, if you're doing like a face to camera thing, that what you're thinking about what is in the background. But I think a massive thing about TikTok, and one probably my biggest takeaway for you actually today, is I think when it comes to these new platforms, people are put off because they think, oh my God, what content I'm gonna create, and we're gonna come on to that. This is gonna be a massive learning curve. And as I've just said, you've got to put all this time to one side. But here is the way to understand it and to ease yourself into it. And that is just to completely forget about creating videos at the start. Just put that for thought to one side for weeks, and just use TikTok as a consumer. That is like really, really important. So just watch some videos, do some search to find out, both on the personal side, topics and hobbies, interests that entertain you, that you enjoy. And then also on the business side as well, maybe see what other people are doing in your industry sector, and then you might start to get some thoughts about your niche and what sort of angle you're going to approach this with. And then after you've watched these videos, then actually sort of join in. So that's where your liking and commenting and sharing comes in. So, you know, in other words, really do the easy stuff first before you actually start to produce or even think about producing any content. So, final point there: enjoy the TikTok experience as a viewer before you even think about posting anything. So just sort of key points then. So I think really purpose of the content on TikTok, you could go further, but it's probably three sort of main areas really when it comes to business. And I have got entertainment in there under business because that's just TikTok's overriding nature. But yeah, educating people. So it could be around tips or information or perhaps some sort of news service that you're providing there. Could be entertainment. You could mix the education with the entertainment and sales. You know, that might surprise you, but product reviews and people's buying habits, some of the, I can't pull them from my brain right now, but if you're interested, I can get them to you. But some of the stats around sales and people buying stuff are quite high. And LinkedIn with sales, as you see the point on reviews there, 83% of TikTok users are on there looking for reviews. So they are using the explore feature, the search, and trying to do research in the same way as they might do a search on Amazon or Pinterest or anywhere else. So the short video format of demonstrating your product, if of course you've got a product that you can demonstrate, is huge. You know, that is definitely one area that you can go down with a view, of course, ultimately of making sales. In terms of content, product demos, stories really important. So yeah, stories sort of has a meaning in social media now, but in this context, they kind of mean really something that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that can apply to so many different things. It could apply to your business, could apply to the development of your product, could even be the story of your day. But stories are important, even if you've just got a 5-second video. Explainers are good, so kind of a bit like YouTube content. And so how-tos, if you like, another way of describing that. And very interestingly, again, bang up to date bit of news for you. Just this week, they have announced, and I think everyone's got it. I've got it on mine, that you can have videos now up to 10 minutes on TikTok. So that is a massive change, because previously the limit was, well, initially it was 1 minute, and then they extended it to 3. And now it's up to 10. So that is really getting into YouTube territory now. So you might have thought before, how on earth am I going to get, you know, any sort of concept around my business or any tip across in just a few minutes? Well, now you've got 10 minutes to play with. So that opens it up quite a bit, I think, to businesses for things like explainers and tips. Reactions are quite good. So reactions to things that are happening in the world, current topics, your industry, that kind of thing. TikTok is quite an emotional place, really, because, as I said, back to the point about it being raw, and there's a lot of people on screen, there's a lot of people talking on screen, so that you can therefore show your reaction to things that are happening. Behind the scenes content. So again, Rough and Ready lends itself to that. So rather than, you know, you might put out your webinar, your polished webinar on YouTube maybe, or on Facebook Live or Zoom, or perhaps you've organized an online conference or something like that, or a real world conference. So your actual, you know, conference event itself is going to be really slick, but maybe do a couple of TikTok videos in terms of behind the scenes. Just give you an example of that. Brands like London Fashion Week and probably other fashion shows as well do that. So obviously their catwalks and everything are absolutely immaculate, showing off the fashions. but then they might do a few TikToks in terms of the models getting ready and all the panic and the timing and all the stressy stuff that happens behind the scenes. Definitely has to be a playful and engaging style. There's not really any way around that. You know, you can't in fact, you can't really do what I'm doing now. You can't just sit on a chair, stare into a camera and talk. That's not going to cut it on TikTok. It's just not going to work. So you've got to come up with a different angle. And like I said, if you view other people's content, have a look at what other people are doing, then you might get a handle on that in terms of how you can make it a bit more entertaining, a bit more playful, and a bit more engaging, even if fundamentally you're getting across information through talking. Yeah, like I mentioned, 83% of users turn to TikTok product review, so that is an important part of it. Ads from the business side are a big thing. Not time to sort of go into ads today, but just to actually use a quote from TikTok themselves, which I think kind of absolutely nails it. And again, it sort of ties in with the whole ethos of the platform. You don't want to have promo ads like you do on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere else. You've got to just basically have a standard TikTok. So it's more around awareness and all the things that you would, which is good news, because basically how you would create all the advice around creating your regular TikTok is what you need to create a regular ad, other than put a button on it. So yeah, that's directly from TikTok. Don't create ads, create TikToks. The key thing, if it's got a USP, and you might well have sort of heard or seen examples of this, is the ability for anyone to go viral. And this is quite fascinating. So there's a lot of talk about the TikTok's algorithm, and terms like magic are sort of used in association with it. It seems to have a very good knack of figuring out what content people are interested in. So if you happen to nail it with a particular piece of content, and people start to, same principle as other social networks, people start to like it, start to comment on it, start to view it a lot, then there is a possibility that that can go viral. There's even stories, which is very unusual on other platforms, there are even examples of people who've gone viral with their very first video, or even just a video in their first sort of like 5 or 10 videos. So it is possible for anybody to have a hit. And whilst that's not necessarily going to be game changing, it's probably going to be quite good. It's certainly hard to be negative. It's going to be quite good in terms of awareness for your business. So just looking at the sort of background really of what sort of like happened, and maybe why TikTok has been so popular, and in terms of that, actually, just don't bore you with too many stats, but regularly it's sort of topping the download charts these days. And in terms of worldwide users, it's probably going to overtake Instagram within the next couple of months. So that means we're talking about 1 billion users. And then it'll be second only to Facebook. So that'll give Meta a bit of a fright in terms of the Facebook platform. So yeah, there are more videos being watched these days. There is definitely a shift to video. I would really try and encourage you on this one. Something, and if anyone's on this call that's heard me talking before, that I've been saying for a few years now, when you have that inclination to take a photo, try and switch that around and try and think about taking a video instead. Simple tip here is look for video opportunities rather than photo opportunities. And there is this definite transition to video rather than necessarily taking a photo. And that has helped the rise of TikTok. Also, people like these explainer type videos, and they're good for business, as that stat illustrates there. I'm not going to read it out. Smartphones have improved as well. So we've got devices now like the Samsung Flip, and I've got one of those. So basically, because you can fold the thing in half, you can basically, you've got built-in tripod, which is fantastic. So wherever you are, you can shoot a video of yourself or take a selfie without having to carry around a tripod in your pocket. So that's accelerated the growth of TikTok, and I think we're gonna see more phones. Well, we are all the time, more phones of that nature coming out, and more people are using phones, as illustrated by that Ofcom stat. You know, we've been saying that smartphones are a trend for quite some time, but that is just increasing all the time, both in terms of, I mean, obviously, kind of like pretty much everyone has got a smartphone now, but in terms of actual use and consumption of video and content, as that's a bit of a techie stat, but as that stat illustrates, that is what is happening. So in terms of trends, so yeah, I haven't even updated the slide there. Look, so shift to longer videos. Now TikTok is up to 10 minutes. There's more shopping that's going on. So if you happen to have your website powered by Shopify, that's good news because you can hook that up with TikTok. Live shopping, it isn't a thing yet. Instagram did a live shopping event this Christmas, but wasn't that popular. It's absolutely massive though in countries like China, and it's forecast to increase. So that is something to keep an eye on. There's also this rise of so-called creator economy. So now this requires a lot of time on platform of your choice, and TikTok, if we're talking about TikTok, but if you are producing content, quality content day in and day out, you might want to make some money off that. So you've got the ability to set up TikTok tips so people can tip you, a bit like really if you're busking and somebody's going to give you some money, so they can just give you whatever they want for the production of your videos. You might have seen that, those of you that have looked at some of the videos on TikTok. And you can also subscribe to live subscriptions as well. So if you pay a regular fee, you can get regular live quality content. The same good example of that would be that Big Jet TV video over on YouTube. Same sort of principle, pay money and you get better content. Micro influencers are a big thing. So that's another opportunity from a business perspective. And there's an example there. And that also neatly from that username, you can tell that there's kind of a bit of a niche angle there. So combining yoga with coffee. So I will show you TikTok in a second, but you can have a look at that example in your own time. And a really interesting one that I like a lot. You can learn a lot from this account called Miss Excel. We will have a look at that one in a bit. So this is quite hard for some people to take on board, that somebody is actually giving advice on Excel on TikTok, but it's a good example to show you that even if you're in a sort of professional services type business, TikTok can work for you. And I can't remember the lady's name, but she's actually paid by Microsoft now. So she literally started off doing Excel tips from her bedroom. And I think she's now got a fully sort of kitted out studio paid by Microsoft. And she's moving into Outlook tips as well. So yeah, it's not just products. You can actually do service-based stuff as well, and even B2B. So Adobe's account is quite a good example of that. So have a look at that in your own time. So I think probably, you know, there's a couple of examples there, but what I would do for your own business, like all the platforms, it's got a search, as we'll see. So search for your own area. And I think you might well be surprised that almost certainly you're going to find some people doing your thing, even if you weren't expecting that. So there are niches and micro niches all over TikTok as it continues to grow in size. Other thing that's quite interesting is this concept of expression called CTV, called connected TV. So if you've got a Samsung TV, for example, you've got TikTok on there. So that would be another way of consuming it that might appeal to you. possibly other brands as well, but you can literally go on there, and in the same way that you click on Netflix, you can click on TikTok and watch it on your TV. And as a business, that potentially, if that really starts to take off, if you know anywhere near as many people that are watching Netflix on TV start watching TikTok on it, the potential for advertising is going to be massive. So as a business, that's one to keep an eye on, because you could get a lot of eyeballs by putting your ads there. And also possibly a bit more further off, but you can get TikTok on things like Portal and Nest Home Max as well. So so-called smart speakers for the home, or smart home devices. So just going to give you a tour now. So let's actually go on to the app itself. So I'm just going to put my phone on the screen. So I just lost the connection there, but we'll get it back in a second. Okay, so sorry I can't make it any bigger, but if I just put that in the white space there. We are now on TikTok. So maybe just a few things to point out on this screen. So this is like all platforms. You've got home, which is your main area, and so that's what we're on now. We're on my feed. You can scroll up and down the. Sorry, you can scroll up and down the down the feed. I'm just trying to get back to it. I'm trying to do three things at once here. And you would see from that initial picture or any of the videos here that it is very immersive. So it takes all the entire screen, which makes you get involved with the experience, which is why things like the playful and engaging thing that I mentioned earlier are important. So I'm just scrolling up and down now using my finger, which is a standard sort of thing. And you can, well, that looks interesting. You can go both ways, so up and down. That was actually an ad, the first one that we came across there. So they're advertising the Batman movie. And as is the case with Instagram, one of the benefits that you get with ads is a button, so you can put a clip, and then people can then buy their cinema tickets there. You can see the same with Reels on Instagram or Stories format. You can overlay text. Let's have a look at some of the other things on here. So if you want to follow this particular brand, I can click on the plus button there. That's the number of likes that we've got here, 155,000. It's got 1,784 comments, and that's the number of shares. Interesting thing with shares, I just highlight that, is that they make it very easy to share out to other platforms. So that is really good for awareness, and also good for TikTok. So you can see that it's very easy to share out to WhatsApp, or just copy the link and share it out to whatever platform you want. So that's quite interesting. Then in terms of the actual caption, it's very minimal. So you tend to just put in fact, there's no caption on that one at all. The video just does the talking, but people will tend to just put in a few words and then maybe add a few hashtags in there as well. And as I say, really let the video do the talking, or put some text over here. And you can have auto captions as well. So you can have the captions on here as the person is talking. Just in terms of some of the buttons on here, so that will take you to the live area. So we can see some live. Let me just see if that's actually, no, it doesn't look like I can. Oh, there we go. So that will take us, oh, getting some phone issues here. All right, let's leave that. I think that's going to cause issues for some reason. Looking at the search, which I mentioned, so this is really important. So if you, oh, wait for it to come on the screen. If you click that search icon, standard sort of thing, I'm seeing it on my screen and not on yours. I'm trying to fix that as we're talking, but basically it's a standard search. But all I would say is use that search as much as possible to find other businesses similar to you, maybe even find some competitors on there. Let me just break this connection and re-establish it, because it doesn't seem to be working. So let's just try this again. Some reason looks like I've got a few technical issues with that. So I'm just going to dump that a second. So just along the bottom, you might have, in fact, we can do that one here, that's fine. So just using the icons that are on the screen here, you can see that you've got a discover area. So with that, a bit like the explore area on Instagram, you do get the search at the top that you can put in as a keyword. But really important, you get a lot of high profile, very topical and popular content. So you get an area with trending hashtags, you get an area with trending music, if you could continue to scroll down here, trending audio. So you can pick up a lot of ideas for that. And one tip that a lot of people employ successfully is to look at, especially if they can just get it on the cusp of something is trending. So if you look at, say, trending hashtag or a trending song that people are adding to their videos, get in there quick and use that, and you might well be able to ride the wave there. So obviously you've got to do that in the right way and not just for the sake of it. But if you can do that, that can be a really powerful technique. It's one that brands and influencers use all the time. Then the plus symbol, as you might have guessed, that's how you actually create your content. So you click on that, and as I mentioned, you get through to your myriad of video editing tools. And as you'd expect, you get a straight camera view, so you can start shooting video straight away. But the good news is, if you've got some existing video or you shoot some existing video with a view to putting it on TikTok, it'll support that as well. So you can upload your existing files. Inbox is a bit like notifications. So you can you get anything that basically any interaction, somebody that's followed you, somebody that's commented on one of your videos, that sort of thing. So that appears in the inbox. And profile, pretty minimal type profile, probably similar, I would say, in nature to what you have on Instagram. So that's just a very brief tour. Sorry about the technical issue, couldn't show it directly, but actually the really important thing is for you to get on there and have a look for yourself. So bit of a boring slide coming up with a whole bunch of tips, but hopefully you'll find these useful. And then I'm just going to sort of categorize some of those tips as well. Then going to just give you one example on screen of a technique that you can use, show you a few pitfalls, and then whip through some case studies and examples. So just going to do that in the next 10 minutes. So yeah, do go out there and like and comment on other people's videos. Don't just pick up your smartphone and start shooting. Plan it out a little bit, storyboard it, to use the jargon. Once you get going, to get awareness that the difference in terms of, if you're going for particular metrics, they're going to be way, way more impressive if you're producing a whole bunch of content. So if you do get into TikTok, obviously you might get some value if you produce one TikTok once a month. But to be honest, if you're going to do it, it's probably better to go all in and produce videos on a regular basis to a consistent schedule. As I mentioned, look out for trending effects, sounds, music, hashtags. Yeah, let's cover that point. Video doesn't have to be polished. Keep the messaging really simple. If people are looking at, if they've got this nature of scrolling down the feed, you can't have too much text on the overlaid text, for example. So keep what you're trying to say as simple as possible. If you've got captions, you want to start talking straight away and have those captions there having an impact, an immediate impact. That's really important. One thing for the algorithm is, this is tricky, but it's all part of the skill of it, I guess, but you want to try and make people watch to the end. So the algorithm will look on your video much more favorably. It's a key signal that TikTok employ if they're seeing that people are viewing it to the end. And guess what? An easier way of doing that is to create shorter videos. So if you've got a 5-second video, the chances of getting somebody to watch the end are going to be greater than if you've got an 8-minute video. So have a think about that. If you're going to fill 8 minutes, those 8 minutes or 10 minutes now have got to be really, really good. There are quite a few, I mean, on the personal side, I suppose it doesn't matter so much, but if you look at the viral videos, they're all perfectly in time. So if people are mimicking singing to songs or a background track or dancing, or there's any sort of motion connected with any sort of sound, it's all got to be perfectly in time, literally to the millisecond. So like I say, on the personal side, you'll get away with it. But on the business side, or if you want to be really, really good, you've got to get that in time. So it's not really being polished. I hope I'm not contradicting myself there. It's just making sure it's in sync, so it works. Maintaining momentum in fast cuts. So this is technique that's used all the time, and I guess it probably comes from people considerably younger than myself with a short attention span, but quite a lot of them watch videos and shoot videos where even before they finish the end of the word, they'll actually have a cut there in the video and move to the start of the next sentence or the next word. So as long as the viewer has actually heard most of that word, that definitely in a younger person's world these days is considered okay. And it does, by doing that, it does maintain momentum through the video. So it's all about experimentation if you start to go down that sort of route. But the other examples of more traditional fast cuts are just sort of really basic stuff. If you're telling a story and it's, I don't know, something straightforward like you're entering a building, like, so I don't know, you're walking into a coffee shop, first thing that comes into my head. You want to get that idea of walking into a coffee shop across in about half a second and not 30 seconds. And a good analogy here, I don't know if anyone's seen the film The Power of the Dog. It's kind of like a bit of a Marmite film. I absolutely hated it, but it could actually win Best Picture at the Oscars, and it's certainly going to win a lot of awards. But, in that film, sort of somebody getting off a horse, it seems to like take about 10 minutes for them to film that. You want to do completely the opposite of TikTok. You want to have like the person beginning to get off the horse, and then the next cut is that they're already on the ground, like literally 200th of a second. So you want sort of fast cuts. Always, this golden rule of social media, but applies to TikTok as well. Always reply to comments quickly. And one thing that's been recently introduced by Reels, but it's been on TikTok for a little while, is you can reply via video. So if somebody puts a comment up on your video, then it's a really nice personal touch. And if you're in business, you're probably looking to develop relationships, particularly if it's with a potential client or customer. Why not reply with a personalized video? So technically, you've got the feature on TikTok to be able to do that. So just a few general tips there, a few more specific tips, and some of these kind of like come together. In terms of style, a lot of these are sort of like similar, but you want to try and raise curiosity, create suspense, create a bit of intrigue. Those three, I would say, go together. So it's just sort of people are starting to question what's going on. If you can sort of get that sense in people's heads as they're watching, that is definitely going to make them stick with the video and possibly watch it to the end, or maybe even watch it a second or a third time. So you want to try and go for the almost like, what the hell is going on here kind of approach. Again, that's got to be sort of suitable for your business or your brand. So perhaps it might not be quite as strong as what the hell is going on here, but definitely some sort of air of, the big reveal is coming at the end of this video kind of like thing. Is quite a good way to go. Surprise and shock is quite good. So I don't mean in a nasty way, but lots of videos out there where the camera angle suddenly changes, or a point down below where you suddenly have an extreme close-up of somebody or an object or something like that. So techniques where there's unexpected things happening in the video can work quite well, leading to a bit of surprise and shock. So as expression stop the scroll, this is the goal really if you're on TikTok, because people are, you might have just got that before when I was on the phone, so you can just constantly just like flip down with your finger. And I've actually seen, be quite interesting to sort of have a controlled experiment, but anecdotally, as I've walked down, do quite a lot of train journeys these days. So as I walk down a train carriage, I see people on TikTok, and they're like, I mean, they're just like scrolling as if there's barely even any time to take in what they're seeing on the screen. So it's difficult to make them stop and watch your videos. So that is really the goal. So some ways to do that. Got to have action right at the start. So having you sitting behind a desk talking to camera in your opening frame, not going to work. So you've got to get some movement in there somehow. Got to have some action going on. Bold captions is another way. So a couple of big words massively taking up the screen. Extreme close-ups, as I mentioned before, that can capture people's attention. And Miss XL is great. She does this thing where she's literally giving advice on spreadsheets from her kitchen. I mean, you couldn't think of anything more sort of bizarre, but it works. So think of this is what I mean by coming up with a unique take, a unique niche on your area. So think of maybe an unusual juxtaposition like that. Reverse drop, I'll demonstrate that. That's basically where you can drop an object, which traditionally you might say place an object on, I don't know, on a table that's your product or something. But with this technique, you get the object to fly into your hand, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a sec, which just captures the attention again. So try all of those. As marketeers on this call, I think most of you marketeers, you'll probably be aware of the concept of A/B testing. So I've got to introduce a new term, A, B, and C testing. And all I'm really getting across here is that a lot of experimentation, a lot of testing is sort of like needed. So you want to try lots of different combinations of stuff. Just this reversed drop, I'll just play this. So this is like a makeup brush, and you'll see that it basically flies up to you'll see what happens. You'll see it sort of like flies up into the person's hand. So how they filmed that is that they've reversed it, and they've dropped it, but then they've reversed it, and the brush like pops up in like hardly, if I can go back, because it really takes hardly any time at all. Just do that again. So there we go. So I'll just play this without the sound. A second. Just to give you an example of a kind of like corporate type video. See what I mean about fast cuts? It's all happening very quickly. And it's a product demo, another example. Music in the background, basic information, very clear message, and the whole thing was 23 seconds. Okay, so things to watch out for. Don't have too much going on. Make captions and text very clear. Don't have small stickers. Again, you don't have text that's difficult to read, so don't use the stylized fonts, and make sure if you're going to use a GIF, make sure it looks really crap if it's not fully visible. And then just finish off with some case studies. So Levi's did this thing where they got a whole bunch of influencers, and worked really, really well for them. And they basically just got some influencers to design their own jeans, and the whole thing was filmed, and it was quite a success. You can literally look up, the videos are all still there on TikTok, so not going to go into too much detail about that, but you can go on and see yourself. This is an example. I'll just show you a quick clip. I want to get through the other examples, but getting a few technical issues today. I don't think that's going to work. Oh, might do. There we go. So again, it's similar to the other one in that somebody's doing something, as in designing some jeans, set to music, And you might have noticed there was a fast cut in there as well, where it just jumped straight into the jeans. You can get TikTok on desktop, as you can see, but it is really a mobile platform. Oh, and there you go. That's how recent it was. You might have just seen that pop up with the 10-minute thing. It's gone now, but there was the thing about the speed going up to 10 minutes, length going to 10 minutes. This account I really love, even though I've got absolutely no interest in women's clothing. It's a brilliant example of using TikTok well. And this lady here sells shed loads of clothes, fantastically successful business. So I definitely look her up. Basically, it's just like models her clothes in a quirky, playful way. Has a lot of fun. So that's Hissy Fit clothing. This one is Gymshark. They're notorious for being really good on social media. And this is kind of a bit of a story one. So they're trying to relate and are successfully relating with how people feel a lot of the time when they're wearing their gear and working out. And in this case, in the gym. But similarly to the alley makeup one, you can see that you've got like a nice clear text at the top. And what I was saying about create a bit of intrigue and suspense. So they've just got a bit of a dot there. So it's like every lifter knows this feeling. So if you're a weightlifter, you're like thinking, well, what feeling is that then? And you're going to play the video and find out. Another example is it's quite an interesting one. So you can buy it in this country, but it's quite an American thing. So it's a sponge. Couldn't think of anything more boring than a kitchen sponge, could you really? But they've made it really playful and entertaining. So called Scrub Daddy, and it's got faces on the actual sponges. So it's an absolute gift for quirky TikTok videos. And they just make them day in and day out, and they're hugely popular, entertaining, even if you've got no interest in the product. But clearly, it's great for awareness. And then maybe when the day comes when you got to buy some sponges for your kitchen, then and you see that on the shelf, then you're probably going to buy that one. Just one more. So this guy's really good. Again, you might not think that TikTok's a place for consultants. He basically is a business consultant, particularly freelancers, but does it in a really good way, gets good messages across, makes a lot of use of captions, does role play, interviews himself, does Q&As. I think if you're in the business of giving advice or training, or you're service based, then definitely check out this guy, and you can see what's possible with that kind of business. And then finally, this is just a direct screenshot from TikTok. It's a resource they provide. Their resources are way better than Facebook or Meta, I should say, way better than Meta's resources on the business side. So do check out the TikTok for business site, and you'll get a lot of good stats and information. Yeah, like all the others, they want to sell you ads, but there is some really good information there on how to use TikTok for business. So yeah, it's coming up to 50 minutes there, so maybe run over by 4 minutes. But happy to take any questions from anybody.
That's great, Jonathan. Thank you. Yeah, really good. Shall I? Let's see if we can knock your slides off and see if we can go to a more gallery view.
Good idea.
There we go. Hi, everyone. Guys, everyone's back in the room. Lovely. That was brilliant, Jonathan. I've made definitely a few notes there. And I maybe, can I start off with one question?
Sure.
What sort of person is watching TikTok? Is it still just young people, assume young people, or is it quite a broad range now?
Good point. So whilst I can't remember the actual stats on it, it's kind of following the standard maturing pattern of social networks, as in the longer it's around, the higher the age gets. So we all know that Facebook way back in the day started off with kids at college, and then it gradually got older and older and older until today, when there's like grandparents are on it. So we're definitely not at the grandparent stage with TikTok just yet, but and definitely the majority are young, if not very young, as in teenagers. It is beginning to push through to 30s and 40s, I would say, primarily because business people like that Jamie Brindle guy are getting involved. So if the content's there for that age group and more people can see that it's working for businesses, then I think that trend of the older person being on there is gonna continue. But yeah, I think we're probably on the cusp. I can see what you're getting at there. There's absolutely no doubt that the vast majority is sort of like even under 22. It is that sort of young. Yeah.
Yeah, but oh, so just quick. Sorry, Claire. Just to go on to the end of that. But if you're going to get on something, it's better to get on it sooner. So even though your audience might not be there right now, if you get on early, I'd imagine you start building up some credibility. So you're in the right place when they do.
I just wanted to ask, how would you rank it against the other social media channels that are out there? Is it, one that we should definitely sort of have in our top 3 that we go to? Is it?
Yeah, I think it sort of comes down to the usual things that you would look at, really. So, you'd want to look at your, I think, resources first of all, because it is going to be a time-consuming one. So you've got to, if it's yourself, then you've got to have the time to do that. If you've got a member of staff, have they got the time? Ideal if you've got a social media manager on board that can sort of play around with different networks and stuff, then for sure, maybe give it a look. Audience-wise, you'd want to look at, because that's an important element. So I think you'd have to do your own research, use the search, see if there's any other people on there, and if there aren't, I think there probably would be. And like Ben was implying there, that could actually be an opportunity if there's just sort of one or two. And if there's none, well, maybe you'd actually get first mover advantage, by going on there. But that's probably going to be quite hard work, because the audience isn't going to be there initially for you. So, yeah, I think, it's a tough one. I think it's more obvious if you're looking at what you sell. So the type of business, that would be the third element, really: resources, audience, and your actual business type. So it would definitely lend itself to consumer products more. So whilst I was trying to make the case for B2B and service-based businesses, primarily it's going to be more of an obvious fit if you're selling products that are kind of cost less than 50 quid. Because if you can actually sell them directly on the platform and demo them and all that sort of thing, then there's a lot you can do there that you can't do perhaps for the other types of businesses. So yeah, or to put it simpler, if you've got like an e-commerce site and you're kind of like taking regular orders via your e-commerce website, then it could actually be a really good fit. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I've just got a little question off the back of that, actually, Jonathan. What's the best way to get people to move from TikTok to a conversion, whether that's on an Etsy shop, Amazon, or your own website? What's the best way of getting them to move there?
Yeah, that's like with all the platforms, that's a tough one. I mean, I guess probably the obvious one is the fact that with an ad, you can put a button in an ad, so you can connect that to whatever you want. We saw a quick peek of that with the tickets for the Batman movie. So that would be the most obvious way. I think you can do it with lives as well. So I think you can do the live shopping thing essentially. So you can be talking about a product live and then send somebody across there. So that could be worth experimenting with. But I think it's probably, yeah. I mean, whilst there is that direct stuff, I think probably, like, to use your jargon from your world, Ben, kind of a bit more sort of lower down the marketing funnel, perhaps, in terms of just getting the awareness out there and building that relationship with your customers, because it's kind of like a platform where you can really generate fans of your business. I mean, even the way you might have been able to tell, unless it was for a partner, there's no way I'm going to buy women's clothing, but I'm actually a big fan of that account.
I don't know, Jonathan, what you get up to in the evenings is
I knew I was going to get that sort of comment, but I think, you know, but if I was, can you see that there's a powerful connection there? And I'd definitely be buying dresses off that lady. So so I think it can definitely establish that relationship. It's a great place for community creation and sort of trying to build up passionate fans.
Yeah, so it's less about just being able to pop up a video and slap a link in there and hope people click on it. It's more about building so much intrigue and interest that people are willing to cross the gap, to go wherever they need to go to get that thing. Just that, interestingly, what's with the 99p water bottle that I keep seeing these videos for on TikTok? It's like, maybe you're not seeing them, maybe the algorithm is hiving up for me, but it keeps coming up with people selling the how to get the 99p TikTok water bottle.
Not seen that. I don't know. I'm not sure what that's all about.
Well, you're missing out on a very large water bottle that people seem to be very excited about. Does anyone else have any questions?
I was just going to ask about the audience, because obviously you're putting these videos out there, but how do you get the audience? Is it like the other social media platforms where you've got to build the audience? Because
two things that it stands out compared with the others on that. One is the sharing side of it, because as I demoed briefly, you can share out to multiple platforms quite easily. So, and I think it's a bit anecdotal, but I'm in quite a few WhatsApp groups, and I know other people are in different WhatsApp groups, and TikToks are regularly shared into them. So there's quite a big crossover there, I think, between TikTok and WhatsApp. So if it's sufficiently of interest that people are going to share it, that's going to help you build the audience. But it's just around the content. But again, the algorithm, you know, people are baffled by the algorithm, and it is really, really clever. You know, there's quite a few examples of like I say, if you've got the quirkier a niche it is, the better. And if you tap into somebody's trends, then both people producing the videos have been surprised that what an amazingly wide and engaged audience and the right people that the algorithm has managed to find. And then the other side of the coin, people are spending time on TikTok from the viewer's perspective because it's feeding them with content that they want. So, you know, algorithms is an entire subject in its own right, but I think what it is doing, this is only my thought, I just think it's more wide-ranging than how the algorithm on TikTok and Facebook works. I think theirs is a bit basic. I don't think it's kind of like as nuanced, shall we say, as the... Like, I'm pretty sure, like I mentioned, that it's definitely a fact that watching to the end of videos is a big thing on TikTok. I don't think Facebook and Instagram even look at that. So TikTok are taking on more signals, perhaps, and they've just got better with it. The technology is just better. So back to your question, I think if you are producing the right content, in theory, you know, it sounds easy, but if it is, you know, it is entirely down to that content. But if it's right, then the algorithm will do its job and it'll find your audience.
Okay.
It's another sort of like basic point on it is as well, which again, can't say it's wrong, but it's a different approach. Again, with the meta products and other social networks, it's more about your existing audience and building the followers. Whereas TikTok, you're seeing a tremendous amount of content from people that you're not necessarily following. So that's a simple one, but it's a fundamental difference between it and the other platforms.
I've only seen TikTok really because I've got 2 teenage daughters, and all you do is literally see them flicking through, and I can see the amount of time that they spend on TikTok because, you know, they're 18, 19 or what have you, but the amount of time that they're spending on their phone, I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, TikTok, it's great, have a look. But the thing is, it's that they take so long on it, they spend so much time on it. And interestingly, when you're saying about people scrolling up, you've got to be able to capture, or you've got to be able to do something that is, you know, remarkable, as we say, Ben.
Exactly.
Because you've got to stop them from scrolling.
Yeah.
So
it's so easy, isn't it? It's so easy.
Am I right about, it's so easy to scroll. Am I right about the speed though? I mean, I can't believe the speed that some of the kids like scroll through it.
Do
they do
the
that?
other thing that they do, which is really and it's mega irritating to me, is when they find one that they like, they play it over and over again. And I'm like, and from a person that's not watching it or, you know, engaged in it, I'm like, what is that?
But isn't that, I wonder if that's deliberate, because they do auto loop, don't they?
But it's more,
and so that draws you into it.
Yeah, it's more of a fact that it might be, you know, obviously when we were in lockdown and stuff, they were doing funky dances to various different music and stuff. So it's more of the fact for that they were trying to mimic and do those dances.
Okay.
Now,
yeah.
you know, if you've got a baby that's doing something funny in like seconds with some funny music, or it's plastered in chocolate or something like that, then, or it's laughing or whatever, you've just literally got the audience, haven't you? Well, you've got my kids anyway, and me, to be fair. But it is very clever the way it's working, and they basically say, oh, we need this, and I need this ingredients because that's a TikTok recipe.
Yeah, shows how powerful. I mean, my kids aren't on TikTok yet; they're on YouTube, but it's obviously it's longer form. And it's funny to say that YouTube is longer form, because it started off as very short form video. But they're on YouTube, similar sort of thing. Things they see on YouTube become highly important. I'm sure they'll move to TikTok once we allow them to.
Yeah, and
at some
you go
point.
shopping, and you know, we're in the shop, and they'll say, "I need so and so," and literally you can be in any shop. I need this, and you go to get it, and it's gone, because TikTok have made it so that it's an, you know, important thing that they need, whether it's a pen or a pencil or a whatever, or a pad or what, it doesn't matter, or a bit of food or whatever. And they're like, we need this, Mum, we really need this. And you go to get it and it's gone. Because it's trending and everybody's doing it.
I was just going to add that my daughter's not on TikTok yet either. She's 12. Even though I know yes, I know, and plenty of her friends have been on TikTok younger, even though they were too young, technically. But I was just saying there's a crossover already on YouTube. She's watching lots of TikTok videos on YouTube. So she's doing that, but so that sharing thing, and she's so the hyper awareness has already happened, and it's already going on to the other platform. So I don't know how that affects for business, whether we, because obviously you've got YouTube Shorts. Would you say it's still better just to go on TikTok and forget about YouTube, or?
Yeah, it's quite a big question, but if I had to say yes or no, I'd probably actually go for it. Yeah, I'd probably go. I mean, one interesting thing on the sharing, I mean, they're very, very smart, the people behind TikTok, because of the TikTok watermark. So
brilliant, isn't it? Genius.
It's instantly recognizable, isn't it, when it's on YouTube? And another big technique that people do is that they just share it over to Reels, because it's a similar sort of like content. Yeah. But that's all the time. That's drawing people back to the platform and raising awareness. So that's clever. And as Ben says, the style of it and the looping, and as Nikki said about the repeat watching. I mean, how many times have any of us watched straight again after watching the end of it, replayed a video on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter? Personally, I don't think I've ever done that, but I have done it on TikTok. So from an awareness business perspective, if you're producing those right videos, then that's fantastic that people will literally watch it again the second they finish watching it, you know.
That's good. We should wrap up as we reach the hour. I mean, thank you very much for that, Jonathan. It's fascinating to hear a bit more about some of the details behind TikTok and some of the stats, including the fascinating growth, the fact that it's going to accelerate past Instagram and be a real competitor for Facebook's Meta's Facebook. Yeah, which is really interesting. And I love that. I mean, I'm not an Android user, but I do like the idea of your phone having a build, because it can flip over and it can be its own little tripod. I love that idea. Jonathan, where can we find you?
So pollingersocial.co.uk is my website, and I've got a link tree as well. So that's the same. So it's linktree/Pollinger Socials. There's a whole bunch of links on there about all sorts of things that I do, including my running. Had to get that in.
Yes, you've got a marathon you're training for at the moment.
Yeah.
Good luck with that when that comes up.
Thank you very much.
So thank you, everyone. We're here from 10 a.m. every Friday. We cover everything in marketing, from strategy, social, SEO, video, and more. Jonathan, you're actually on again in a couple of weeks' time, aren't you? You're looking at Instagram.
Pinterest, I think. Is it?
Pinterest. I should know what's coming.
Right.
But Pinterest. I know a lot more about Pinterest, but I'm really interested to hear your take on that. So, Claire, what date is that coming up? 2 weeks' time? That's the
25th.
25th. Excellent. I'll look forward to seeing you then, Jonathan. But Claire has the schedule for everything. She's posted in Basecamp, so you can go there and have a look and see what's upcoming. She posts that every single month. If you've got something exciting to share about, do email Claire, support@rather-inventive.com, and she'll see if we can get you on to talk about it, because I'm always interested to see what people are doing. If you can't watch this live, you can't attend, do share it with a friend. We actually took this idea from Nikki, who's on today, from one of her networking sessions that she goes to actually come on. And if you can't come, share the link with a friend, share your space with a friend, so we're not wasting it. They can come in your place. Just let Claire know so she can welcome them on. And don't forget, this is recorded, so you can catch up with any previous of the last 41 of these on Basecamp. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye for now.